migration, what comes to your mind? How many of you are attending this session for the first time? I see some repeated faces, so I'll rephrase my question in that case. First time, okay. A lot of people are first timers, okay. So, how do you feel when we say migration? Is it easy, complex, tedious? Easy, wow. We will make it easy, yes. So when you say complex, why do you feel it is complex?
Because all the data of existing application have to be systematically transferred to the new application.
Migration process is difficult, okay. So why do you feel it is difficult? So what do you think are the challenges in the migration? Accuracy of data, like, balancing what was there in the old application and what is there in the new application, right? There could be loss of data during the process, right? Anything else?
Data being captured wrongly.
I'm sorry?
Data being captured wrongly.
Wrongly, you could capture it here. Okay, right. Yes. That's it. I thought you'll say a lot of things.
Not only tallying the end balances, but complete data.
The whole historical data has to be transferred here, which is challenging because the volume of transactions could be high, right?
Training the resources on how to use the
new plan. Exactly. Because so you are so used to the old one, so getting used to the new one, right? So when we say migration, it is not just like one word, or the process is not so easy when we talk practically. So there could be a lot of things which would come to your mind. First of all, do I need migration? That is the first question. And if yes, you convince yourself, then what is the software which I should be adopting? When should I do the migration? And how should I do the migration? So these are the kind of questions that would come to your mind. So first, when should you consider migration? So we are in an era where, everyone is moving to, digitalizations, right? So accounting is also something which should be digitalized, right? When we look at the other countries, already people are on cloud. So as I was answering this gentleman, it's the clients who are using the cloud application, cloud accounting software, and accountants are added there who are just providing services. Whereas in India, it is still the other way around, and now we are changing. But still, there is a lot of education to be made, and though the clients, it could be both ways. Either the clients are moving to cloud and accountants needs to be convinced, or accountants are ready whereas business do not understand. So we are making a lot of education on that front. But why you should consider migration is because to the cloud applications, because we feel cloud are simply best. Do you agree? So when you say cloud, the cloud applications are mostly customizable. Whereas if you notice, your on-premise applications are not so. It is very rigid. So if you want to make even a slighter changes according to your client's business or a process, that may not be possible. Cloud applications are extensible. When we say extensible, like usually they have open APIs, you can integrate it with other applications. It could be third-party applications, or if your clients are using an in-house application for their processes, that could be integrated. And when we take Zoho, like we have a lot of application to cater to the different business needs. So they could be integrated among themselves. So that is also one kind of extendability. And we offer other features like, webhooks, connectors, using which, you can build something on your own. Like even a new module can be built within the application. Next is intuitive. When I say intuitive, what comes to your mind?
You get a report which you otherwise want to.
Like what you see, you can believe it. See, when you see an Excel sheet, like when you see the report in the Excel sheet and the data which you see there, would you actually just blindly believe that, yes, whatever the value I see there is true? No, right? Right. But in an application, when you see a balance sheet, you see a you see a balance there, and if you are able to click on it, drill down to it, it will give you the data from which, this has arrived. So you already know that the figures which you are seeing there, definitely that could be tracked back. So somehow intuitionally you feel that whatever data you are seeing there or whatever you are seeing here is true, right? So all such kind of benefits which you have on cloud makes them best, is what I feel. And of course every other point which you added. Apart from this, if you generally notice in today's scenario, businesses grow pretty faster. Agreed? In India, definitely, right? So when your client's business grow, what are the powerful features which those businesses would need? So collaboration is an important key, right? Key in a business. So when we say collaboration, it is not just among the staffs. It's collaboration with your clients, with your vendors, with all the stakeholders, right? So we don't restrict our finance applications just to do your accounting, right? We facilitate even the collaboration right within the finance applications. So only if your software is, customizable, extendable, all of such things could also be done. Seamless integration. So I was talking about how you can integrate your applications to other applications using APIs or webhooks, connectors, or even using other applications like Zapier. We have our own applications like Zoho Flow. And I was also talking about Zoho's products and how they are seamlessly, integrated. So for example, you're using Zoho Books for your accounting application, Zoho Payroll for your payroll processing. So when you run a pay run in a payroll, that gets automatically captured in Zoho Books. When you do your expense reimbursement in the expense application, that gets automatically captured in your Zoho Books. When you run subscriptions in your subscription management application, the invoices get automatically captured in your Zoho Books. When your salesperson raises estimates in Zoho CRM, that gets automatically captured in Zoho Books. So it's a seamless integration. You understand what I'm saying, right? Scalability. So one of you said scalability is more in cloud. Definitely. So with the increase in the business, the volume of transactions would definitely increase, right? So you need to have an application which is scalable. And that is verily possible with the cloud applications. Advanced customizations. So first of all, I feel, on-premise applications are not at all customizable. But with growing business, you need advanced customizations. Like as I said, you should be able to even create something from from the scratch if needed. That should be the level of customizations which it should offer. So from an accounting application, you can expect reports, but some businesses might need reports according to their industry or their vertical, or just for some unique process in their office. So you should have the facility to create those reports also from the scratch. Or just to impress your manager or CEO, the way he wants to see the dashboard, you should be able to create a dashboard. So such advanced customization should also be part of the application. Next, automations. So generally when we say accounting, what comes to my mind at least is like, data entry, according to the traditional way of accounting, right? You do so much of data entry. Whereas what we provide with cloud applications is totally automations. For example, first of all, in Zoho Books, we do not ask you to create journals. When you create transactions, journals get automatically posted. And even in any case where you have to create a journal, let's say to record a depreciation, even there we provide you a journal template where you can configure your credit and debit accounts. And while passing the journal, all you have to do is just enter the amount. If you have invoices that has to be generated repeatedly on a recurring basis, recurring invoices could be set up so that system generates the invoices. Reminders which should be sent to your customers on a due date, before a due date or after a due date, that goes automatically to them. You do not have to, follow up on your payments. these are inbuilt, automations which are available in the application. Apart from that, you should be able to create your own workflows according to your needs. I'll give you an example. For example, your clients are not when your clients are not paying you on time and you want to charge them a late fee, in that case, you can create a workflow in such a way that whenever it has crossed the due date, whatever percentage of amount you want to add as a late fee, automatically a debit note should get created and should also be sent to the customer. So you can create such a workflow. This is just an example. Next, insightful reports, of course. You're creating transactions in the application. That is, when that is real time, your report should also be real time. So as I said, we have some 70 plus inbuilt reports, but you can also create new reports if needed. And the report should give you an insight on, what's happening, right? It should not be just the numbers. So when I say customer balance reports, the balance report can also have variety. So either you should be able to customize it on your own, or you should be able to tweak it a bit, or if needed, you can also create a new report. Now all this, when we are considering migration and when you are choosing a new applications, you can actually have this high expectations from the cloud applications. If your client is new, then it's very simple. You do not have to think of all of those aspects. Just start new with, just start using the application right away. You do not have to worry about the migration at all. So now, which data should you migrate is the next question. So a lot of you said that the challenge in the migration is that you have to transfer high volume of data from your old application to the new application, right? So that is the second option which you see here, historical data. And I definitely agree that that is quite a process, especially if the volume is high, but if not, it is still okay. If like you have historical data, but the volume of transaction is less, it is still fine. But the suggestion which we give to our clients or to everyone is that it is best that you do the migration as on the financial year. So just bring that year's financial data. So this presentation is focusing on what is the best methods you can use to do the migration. Because if you stick on to the concept of, you have to migrate the data, whole historical data, then you might never migrate also. Considering all the challenges, you might be just stuck with the old application, or you might be using two applications unnecessarily. So best method to start the migration and to go with it would be to migrate your financial year's data. So I'll stick on to that and go with the next slides. But if you have any question on the migration of historical data, we'll take it up at the end. So now that we have decided that we are going to migrate only this year's data, what is the best time to migrate the data? End of the fiscal year is the best time to migrate the data. But start the migration several months before the end of the fiscal year. Why several months? Because I'll get back to that. I mean other things. So why you should start several months before is because you will have a lot of checklists to be seen. Like, one of you said you need to train the users in the new application. So the staffs who will be working on the application should be familiarized with the new application. You need to data backup. You need to see if your current software is able to export all the data, right? When I say all the data, everything, like, your transactions, attachments, whatever you have included for the transactions, if you have documents separately maintained in the same applications, is everything getting exported? If there are any logs attached to it, are you able to export it? Because you're going to leave that old application and start with the new one. So you need to see if everything of that is getting backed up. Next, the software which you have chosen, what is the import capability it is having? You need to test that. So to do all of that, you should start the migration several months. That means you should try out all of these things several months, and by the end of the fiscal year, you should do the migration. Yeah, trying out the data means the same. So, no, that is what we do not suggest. Like, you should not run two applications at the time. That is like waste of money, and like again you're doing data entry twice, right? Yeah, I mean you should try out the new. Yeah, when I say trial, that's what it means. So let's say you're using Tally now and you're trying out Zoho Books. Yes, from this month start using Books like in a free version or a 14 days trial, and you can see how your Tally and Zoho Books data looks like, and once you're confident you can move the data. Now, how to choose? So we were talking about like, yes, cloud is best and what cloud could do, and I did give you insight on Zoho Books already. But let's have a general checklist of how to choose the best cloud application or best accounting application when you are making the switch. So consider these points for sure. So I've been talking about customization already like for like 10 minutes, I think. So make sure the application which you're choosing is highly customizable, because with the growth your clients would have, you would definitely need a lot of customization. The software you're choosing should definitely be very flexible. You should be able to get the premium features, but at the reasonable pricing. So make sure the software which you're choosing is competitively priced. And it should be highly secure, and make sure the vendor you have chosen takes privacy seriously. So go read their security document, privacy documents, and have confidence on that definitely the data which is going to reside in that accounting application and their data center is going to be safe. The software should be extendable. Again, this topic I have covered a lot. I have been talking about how it should be able to talk with other applications, integrate with other applications, or should allow you to create platforms or new modules right within the application. So definitely it should be extendable also. And when we are talking about account applications, obviously it should be tax and audit ready also, right? Because tax filing, being tax compliant is like part and parcel of the accounting application. And the data which it gives should also be audit ready. You shouldn't be sitting and preparing it what is required for the audits later. That it should be saving your work on that as well. Saving your time on that as well. And reporting, of course, as I said, you need to have a real-time data, customized reports, and also, it should be like of advanced level. Like if you want to do something on your own also, this application should allow you to do that. Okay, so now you have checked all of these things. You have decided what accounting application you should use, right? Now let's go to the real work. Let's start doing the migration. So what's the checklist which we have is, firstly, back up the data from your old application. As I said, when I say back up the data, please ensure that every single thing, every single report, every single transaction, every single record, whatever you want, make sure it is completely backed up and it is completely your responsibility, right? Next, run the trial balance as on the date you are going to migrate. So since we chose the financial year, so let us say you are going to migrate today, then choose it as 1st April 2022 or 31st March 2022. Run the trial balance as of that date, because that is going to be your closing balance. You are going to enter that as opening balance in your new application. So you are going to tally the balances of trial balance from the old software and the opening balance which you are entering in the new application. So now the trial balance of that old software and the new software should match as on that date. So ensure that you are having a trial balance. Next, format the data. Now when you are going to migrate from one application to another, they might be similar, different, but not the same for sure, right? So the format of the data can definitely be different. When I say format, right from the type of the file or the way they are structured could be different. So let us say Tally gives you only XML file, whereas the new application where you are importing is accepting only CSV file. then you need to convert the XML file to CSV file and still ensure that the data which was there in the XML file is rightly captured in the CSV file. As simple as that, no additional commas should have been, if you have done migration, you know what practical difficulties you have. When you're converting a file, something gets added, space gets added, comma gets added, and then it doesn't get imported. So all of these things you have to ensure that it is, correctly getting formatted. Map the fields. Now again, the names which are terminologies which are used in the applications may not be same. So let us say you are calling something as payments in your current application. We might call it as receipts here. You are calling them as purchases, we might call them as expense here. Or within the transactions also, the fields which are used might have different names. Okay, like let's say you are saying accounts receivables, we might say it as customer balance, right? So you need to understand the terminologies in the new application, and you have to make a note of that somewhere and map them. Like the AR in the old one is the customer balance in the new one. Payment in the old one is the receipt in the new one. Like, and for every field, like, tax in the old one is GST in the new one. So you need to map the fields. Test the import. Once you have done all of these things, please do not have overconfidence that, if you import just by a click of a button, it is going to get imported, right? That's not how it works. Please test the import. After it gets imported, please check if every single data has, come rightly here. So that is why we start migration several months before, the trying out, like, have the sample data exported, imported, and please check if, like right from the attachments, if everything have got imported. Like if there was any additional notes added in your old one, you want it to be in the new one, please check if it has got imported. I mean, whatever is your requirement. I'm not saying every application would allow you to do every single thing, but whatever you want, is that taken care or not, please test it. And train the users, because you are not the only person who is going to sit and do this, right? If you have 100 clients, you are not going to do the migration, or even for one client, you are not going to sit and do the migration of the whole data for that client, right? So train the users. So even if the application is easy, user friendly, since you are very used to the old application, it might take a bit of time to get used to the new application. So train the users. So these are the simple checklists we have. I'm sure this is very simple and looks like very inevitable, but this is what we ignore to do, and that is why we fail with migration. So I repeat it again: back up the data, run the trial balance on the date on which you want to migrate the data, format the data according to the format which the new application accepts, map the data, identify the names and field names, what is there in the old one, and map it with the new one, test the import for sure, and then train the users as well. Let me tell you how you can do, start with Zoho Books, our accounting application. So get the data from your old software. As you already know, run the trial balance, export the data, and how you import it in Zoho Books is what I'm going to cover. So I'm going to stick to the financial year. So let us say as on 1st April 2022, you have run the trial balance in your old application, and now you are going to enter it in the Zoho Books. How do you do that? So first you have to create the chart of accounts in Zoho Books. So you all know what is chart of accounts. I'll just clarify a few things from Zoho Books perspective. So in Zoho Books, all the income, expense, asset, liability, equity accounts will be considered as chart of accounts. Your customers and vendors would be customers and vendors. So they will be automatically mapped to accounts receivables and accounts payables. Your items, your products will be items, and they will be mapped to the sales, purchase and inventory accounts. So this is how account management happens in Zoho Books. So your chart of accounts are simply your income, expense, asset, liability and equity accounts. We have a set of default accounts which can be used. It is a very common one. It should be this, something similar which is available in every accounting application. So you need not actually create a new set of chart of accounts. You can use the same one. But if at all you want to do, either you can manually add them, or like it's a list of accounts, you can simply export the list of accounts from your old software and import it here. Next, bank and credit card accounts are also chart of accounts, but I have added it separately because it's a very powerful, almost a module in Zoho Books. So I'll just give you a sneak and peek of that as well. So banking module, how it works in Zoho Books is, you can add your bank and credit card account here, fetch the bank statements from your bank account to Zoho Books, and easily reconcile them. So I'm sure it will not be available in your traditional applications, not that this easily and this automated way at least. We have connected banking concept as well, with which you can, even directly make the vendor payments to your vendors right from Zoho Books. So this is just a small introduction on our banking module. So since it is this way structured here, we ask you to add your bank and credit card in the banking section, and whatever is the closing balance as on that day, which would be there in your trial balance, you can add that as a opening balance in Zoho Books. Items, as I said, your item masters have to be imported as items here. So I'll just finish this and take this question. So whatever is your closing stock for those items in your trial balance would have to be entered as the opening stocks for these items. Your customers and vendor masters which you have imported, whatever is the closing balance for your customers and vendors there, that is whatever is your open AR, which might include the open invoices and the credit notes, those will be your opening balance for your customers here. Similarly, for your vendors, whatever is the open AP or the unused credits with them will be the opening balance for your vendors here. And whatever is left out, that is your income, expense, liability, equity accounts, the closing balance of all of that in your trial balance will be the opening balance. I hope it's very clear. Chart of accounts, income, expense, equity, liability accounts are like, separate accounts, which for whatever is your closing balance in your old applications trial balance, you have to simply enter them as opening balance here. In case of customers and vendors, there is a slight differentiation. We do not handle them as chart of accounts. It has to be handled as contacts here, and the opening balance for them can be separately entered here, and they will be automatically mapped to the accounts receivables. Vendors will be automatically mapped to the accounts payables.
Each entry you have to make it separate.
I'm sorry?
Each entry you have to make separate.
You can import it, sir. Whatever I'm saying, whatever I'm talking, consider it as can be added manually, or if you have a list, you can be importing it. Okay. Similarly, items, you don't have to,
Any particular format or every format?
as I said, yeah, you need to check the format we are supporting and import it in that way. Similarly, items, they don't have to be added as a chart of accounts. They should be brought in here as the items. Whatever is the closing stock of item available in your trial balance, that can be entered as an opening stock here. Banking concept I have explained already. You have to add them. I hope you understood how the banking works here. So that needs to, the bank accounts have to be added separately as bank and credit card accounts, and the closing balance as in the trial balance can be entered as opening balance here. So these are the major steps which you need to do for the migration, and that's it. We are done. We can start using Zoho Books. So now that you have done your migration, you have to do very basic settings in Zoho Books. Configure your organization profile. That is, just enter simple details like what is the logo you are going to use, which should appear in your invoices, what is the address you are going to use, which should appear in your invoices, what is the email ID from which, it should be delivering. These are the basic details which anyone, from the business, the client can do the organization setup. You don't have to involve in that. You can enter the opening balance. You do your work, you help your client, do the migration, let him do these things, okay? And then the tax settings. Again, these things can be done by himself because he has his GST information, right? So he can provide the GSTIN, the date on which he got registered, date from which, he should start filing from here. Here, you can help him with these tax settings if needed. And he can again set up the, these tax details. If he is going to have multi-GSTIN, the multiple GSTINs can be configured here and the similar information can be provided here. Now, your client is going to have different people involved in the for different purposes, right? For the sales for purchases. He might have different people. So he can invite them as users, and of course, as I said, it is your client's application and you should also be invited as a user. So when you was doing the migration for him, you would have already got the invite. If you want to add other staffs also, you can add them as the users here, you or the client. Next, module wise, you can set up the preferences. Now, Zoho Books have a lot of features which can be used by various industries, whereas everyone may not need that, and also at the module level, you might have your own preferences. For example, at the invoice level, you might decide whether you want to give, discount at line item level or discount at invoice level. Do you want the estimates to be automatically converted as an invoice when it gets accepted? So all these, preferences you can set up as per your need. You can choose how your invoices should look like. When I say you, it's not you, your business, your clients can choose how the invoice should look like. So we help you with, customized templates. So there are some 16 plus templates available. They can choose whatever they are interested in, and that can be set up at the client level also. Like for a group of clients or, for country specific clients, they can choose what template they should use and from which email ID it should go. So all these settings could be done. And the way I was talking about banking vendor payment concept, like you can make the payment from Zoho Books. Similarly, you can also collect payment online from Zoho Books. So you can set up the payment gateway integrations here, like Razorpay, ICICI, PayPal, Paytm. These are the local players available. And for international payments also, we have authorized.net to checkout and all. So whatever payment gateways you have, you can set up the integration here. And that's it. You're done with the settings of Zoho Books also. You can start using Zoho Books. So if you have like very minimum data, I hope you would have understood that, even within a day, you can, if you know the product, if you have got the demo of the product, you understand the product, and you understand this whole concept, then you can, within 1 or 2 days, just, complete the migration and set up the Zoho Books and even start using it. If you have a historical data and you want to, import it, the process remains the same. Let's say 2 years back data is what you want to import, or 5 years data is what you want to import here. Then you run the trial balance as on that date, like 5 years back, whatever is the date you're choosing, 31st March, maybe 2018 or 2017. So that is the date on which you will be running the trial balance. You will be entering the opening balance as on that date. Everything else, the process remains the same. It's just that these 7 years or 5 years of data which you have, that should also be imported here. So not just the opening balances, the data should also be imported. And depending on the volume of data you have is the number of hours of day or days you would require to do the migration. That's it. So, thank you.